2020, summer of 2024, fall of 2024, basically about a year ago, I think in September and October, was when we really narrowed in and we looked at our budget and the bond money that we had available. And I think the board at that point was collectively thinking that we could do a project here at Washington Primary as not as a final solution for all of our needs here at Washington Community Schools, but as a step in the right direction to at least help what we feel like we need for elementary education. You know, this spring we went through the procurement process. Just wanted to highlight, we had some community participation on that committee to help us select the ratio and Hagerman team. Folks like Nathan Gaphard, Dusty Davis, we asked them to participate and they were willing. We appreciate their expertise that they brought to that process. We had board members, Jason Omer and Tim Hedrick. Mrs. Murphy as principal was on that team, and then Graham Giesler, our facility director. And the decision that was made, we couldn't be more happy. It's been just a great process this summer, working with the Hagerman ratio team, and we're excited. We're really excited for tonight, and so that we can share this information out with the community. I'm going to turn this over now to Scott, who has a little bit more information to share.
Okay, thank you. So continuing on with how this process has gone, after the technical review committee selected Hagerman and ratio, we formed a design committee, which was made up of 3 board members, myself, Jason Omer, and Tim Hedrick, and they were on the technical review committee as well. So we felt it was good to have them continue, as they had already built some relationship with Hagerman and could tell us that if they ever varied from what they promised us they were going to do. So we had them, Mr. Frank. We looked at a lot of different options for work. So every principal, building principal that could be impacted was involved. Sodexo was there with Graham and Travis and Clay, Zach Lacey with our IT department. And we had several teachers come in along with Mrs. Murphy from the K2 environment, as we narrowed in on that as our focus. We had 9 different design meetings, all of them a couple hours apiece, started out in June. We saw a lot of each other this summer, but it was very productive. And along the way, we did have several meetings with our bond counsel, Carrie Alford and Mr. Frank and myself, as we tried to determine exactly what our financing abilities and limits were going to be for this process. So what you're going to see tonight is the fruit of that committee and our budget and everything else, with a project that we feel is going to be the best to meet our desire to create a 3-grade campus here at the primary that's going to address some of our space concerns and our educational concerns. Along with that, there are several alternatives that were not able to be included because of budget, but they're waiting in the wings. We have some solid plans that, if funding becomes available either through this process, if we can get some really good bids, or possibly some grants that we'll be looking into. And we do have GEO bonds, general obligation bonds, that we'll be able to renew in a few years. So this, as Mr. Frank said, is step 1 in what we hope to be a long process. So at this time, I'll pass off to Mrs. Murphy to give you a look at what's to come.
So tonight's meeting is an exciting step into the future for what this school building holds for all the future Hatchets. It's more than just a new building or a new addition. It's a space that we're creating specifically for primary students. This building was originally created for students kindergarten through 6th grade. And so all the work that we're putting in and all the work we've talked about is specifically designed for primary students. It will truly support how they learn and grow and play. The space is designed so that each grade level has a clear home. If you're a visitor in our building right now, we have, some DLI rooms over here, a first grade classroom over here, first grade classrooms strung out over here. And then our kindergarten is also displaced a little bit with our preschool in the basement. So it clearly defines the different areas, grade levels, and then it even gives the DLI hallway their own identity. So that's pretty exciting. One thing that I'm really excited about that pretty much anyone that enters this building comments on is the courtyard. It's an eyesore, there's draining issues. There's just so much that not only the teachers in this building think that they can elaborate on in the space, but also community members. So they have ideas how to make that space better. With this new addition, we're looking at not just adding second grade on, but also enlarging our preschool area. So that's very exciting. And then we've heard about space issues for a long time. And so this design allows for 10 classrooms per grade level. So 8 general ed classrooms in each wing, and then 6 DLI classrooms together. So it really lets the grade levels collaborate and be near each other. And then it's just more family friendly in general. Our secretaries, our front office, they spend a lot of time, and Miss Allison explaining to some of our families how to get where you need to go at different times during the day. In the morning you drop off back here, in the afternoon you pick up here for preschool, and there's always different ways to get here. And if you have a sick kid, then you come a different way because it's a different time of day. And so with the new entrance, it will allow parents to come the same place no matter what time of day it is. And it'll just be much more family friendly to our community. So I'm excited for them to share the big picture of how this space will not only support our students, but our staff and our families for years to come.
Okay, this is Mike, and I just lost his last name when I looked at it. He's been our lead with Hagerman. He's going to lead us on the rest of the presentation this evening. And one thing I'd like to comment, this is going to be a pretty high level view. We're not drilling down to where the plugins and the light boards and that kind of stuff goes. This is step 1 of the process, and that's what we're going to report on. So take it away, Mike.
Well, thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen of the board. On behalf of Hagerman and Ratio, we're honored to have been selected for Step 1 services, and we have a great presentation here for you this evening. And it was a hard act to follow Kristen as principal, and you guys should all know how great she is here in your community and this school. I've been doing this 39 years, and you can always find what they say, the best students. So kudos to all your staff here and your board. It's really been a pleasure for me and an honor to get to know them during this process, and I look forward to a successful finish. So with that, who else do I have? Well, on this call, we have Allender, and she's been leading as the architect. And we have Courtney, I'll call the left hand. We have Zach, who is the right hand with Ratio, and he will be taking over as we move into step 2. I also have on here Sarah Walker from Hagerman, and she's going to talk about the Hardhead program. And I have Steve Meyer on here. He's our director of reconstruction. He's been helping me do all the budgeting and estimating along the way. And so then who's next on the lineup? So CEC then is our civil engineer, and Aaron Hertz on here. And we have Jonathan in the room. Okay. We have KBSO as our, and we have Paul Records on as our electrical. And then we have, they have other people doing the technology and the plumbing. And then we have the perfection group led by Chad and by Greg and Michelle. They're going to be doing the mechanical design. And we have KPFF as our structural engineer. And we have Warner and Associates as our food service. So with all of that, really what I want to do now is allow Allender to walk you through our presentation. So with that to do, here you go.
Thanks, Mike. And I'm going to get a thumbs up that everybody can hear me. We did do an audio check. Great. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen. And we can get started. Everybody's done such a wonderful job of getting us started here in the presentation. It's been a really wonderful process working with everybody throughout the summer. Over the last 4 months, working out the design process. It's been truly a collaborative effort and has been a really rewarding process. It's also great to hear everybody speak about the project and truly feel aligned with the entire team here as we present the design for this project. So I am just going to take a minute to align us all here on the site. So what you are seeing across the top of this page here is Highway 50 and 11th Street here along the right-hand side of the drawing. And you all are all sitting right here in your cafeteria. And the way that the building currently works now is the portion of the building that you are sitting in currently was built in 1962. And in 1987, there was a small classroom addition. We call that the Stock Suite. And then in 1995, we enclosed the courtyard and did some renovations across the building with this gym and classroom connectors here. As part of your regular traffic circulation right now, your buses are following the blue route. They turn on and off Route 50. And your parents, actually the road that your parents use isn't even on Google Earth currently, but they come in here along the pink route and loop around your playground and drop off and leave back out. So what Ms. Murphy is currently navigating is 2 separate drop-offs for your bus and parent arrival. And that's incredibly difficult for a school at any age level, but especially for your youngest learners. This can create a lot of logistics problems for your teachers at those chaotic points of the day. So that was a huge piece of what we installed as part of the redesign of this project. Couple of other things that we'd like to talk about just as we're getting oriented to the existing building here. Everybody talked a little bit about the issues with your current courtyard. It's really tough to get movement into this space because of the way that the doors are configured. And the grading in here is drainage issues. It's just not necessarily a space that everybody is able to be proud of and to support the student development here. This is the view of your gym entrance right now. This is that 1995 edition, and you've got your 87 here, the sausage. Here's where the sausage connects to the 1962 building, and then a couple of views of your 1962 building. On the west and on the north, which is your current main entrance to the building. A few people have already reiterated, but I can go through it one more time. The project goals here are really creating a secure entrance for the facility, having everybody check through secure entry vestibule, creating a safer and more consolidated drop-off and pickup for buses and parents, And then the bigger piece of this is adding second grade to the building and increasing your enrollment capacity for all grade levels, preschool through second grade, which would achieve a 700 student enrollment, 10 classrooms per grade level for kindergarten through second grade, and then 2 classrooms for your preschool program. As we talked about a little bit, we're going to go through some of what helped us figure out how we wanted to approach the design of the site. There were a lot of conversations about whether or not we were going to maintain the bus entrance from 50, and we decided that that was the best route for traffic flow. And continuing to utilize your existing parent drive, that's a good use of funds. You didn't need to reinvent the wheel for the entrance point to the site. We wanted to improve your courtyard drainage, and there were a lot of conversations about your 1987 edition. The configuration of the roof is not really conducive to good acoustics in your classroom. And the utilization of space there was not necessarily the best. And we thought we could get some more classrooms in there and help make that a piece of the new work. And it would also allow us to get into the courtyard and improve the drainage. The arrows going across the site are representing the grade. So we've got a high point here where that tower is. That grade falls off down in this direction. We've got a little bit of a plateau here. And then right along the front of the building, the grade falls off pretty quickly, steeply down towards Route 50. So as we were looking at different ways to get the addition on the site, we looked at several different ways and configurations for that classroom wing. And what we landed on was building a wing down towards the south of your existing gym. This is where we are looking at replacing that sawtooth between year 1962 and 1995, creating a consolidated central arrival plaza here with a new admin suite, preschool and kindergarten wings goes down towards the south, and we'll go through that a little bit more in depth in a minute. And taking your traffic and increasing a little bit of pavement here to south so your buses can pull in and move around at your front entrance and exit. Oops. And there we go. And for your parents drop off, again, coming around your parking lot, you would expand that parking lot and change a little bit here, and dropping off in this direction. This central arrival plaza allows us to keep that bus and parent traffic completely separate, but it allows everybody to arrive through the same front door. So Ms. Murphy and her staff welcome all the students as they come and go each day. As part of this, as we're building here to the south, we will need to relocate the playground up to this plateau area, which is a nice flat space. This is also going to allow us to move the playground before construction starts, and the students are going to continue to have a play area throughout construction. I'm going to now go into the building plans a little bit more here. So what you're seeing now is here with a very dark black outline of our new construction where we would build up against your existing gym. With this classroom way down to the south. And what we'll do throughout the rest of the building is we're going to reorganize each one of these wings into a grade level pod. So your kindergartners are going to be in this new construction piece here. Your preschoolers will be located here around and adjacent to your new admin suite. We've got some art, music, and some staff support spaces here. First grade is going to go where your kindergartners currently are. That's going to give them their own dedicated bathrooms, most of them. And then the new second graders will be going up here, just outside of your cafeteria. And then your DLI wing will have all the grade levels kind of together in one dedicated area as well. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and talk a little bit about your addition some more. So again, everybody's going to be arriving to this new secure entry vestibule with your admin suite adjacent to that. We needed to expand the admin suite from what currently is there because you're adding a lot more students to the building. So we needed some additional offices and spaces. Also, the way that your building is currently working, you have some of your admin offices in different places in the building. So this is going to be able to provide us with a centralized office area for all of your admin support staff to be together in one space, right adjacent to the entry. Right next to the admin suite, as we talked about, is your preschool area. This allows preschool to be part of the drop-off pickup, but they can also use a separate door if we wanted to do that at a different time of day. That makes it very convenient for them. And they would be able to go directly outside to a newer version of their play area just south of your gym. The kindergarten wing is down here to the south. We elected to add on kindergarten and not first grade because it allows us to do your single toilets for the kindergartners. That provides a lot more flexibility for the younger students. And then up here, where we are replacing the 1987 edition, we are looking at art and music, which would be able to access the courtyard, which Ms. Murphy was excited about. And then a new staff workroom and title space. We are connecting here through your existing gym lobby, and so this would be able to create a very nice pre-function space for any of your after-hours events. And we are going to be doing a light renovation here, which I'll show on the next slide. Talking a little bit high level about the renovation scope for the existing portion of the building. So as we said, where we're going to be connecting into the gym lobby, we're going to need to do some replacements to the mechanical units that are currently right next to those doors. So as part of that, we'll be reconfiguring that lobby, tying it into the entrance, and doing some light renovation in here to allow your gym to be closed off from the rest of the school. So you have a basketball game on the weekends, visitors can come to the building without having free reign of your entire building. We've talked a lot about the courtyard. We will be going in and improving drainage in the courtyard. Where we're adding second grade and getting your DLI all in one area, we'll be doing some renovations to what's currently a staff workroom here and your existing admin suite to transition all of that into classroom spaces. And finally, we'll be doing some renovations in the room you're currently sitting in. As we're adding a lot more students to the facility, we're going to be replacing your kitchen equipment and adding a second serving line to support that added capacity to the building. And renovating the stage area to expand to provide more seating area. This is also going to allow us to provide a little bit more of a sensory-friendly space for the youngest students, so it doesn't feel like such a large space for them. The images that you see here on the left are just some ideas of how we might bring in color and texture into the renovated areas of the school. And what we really liked about this opportunity of reorganizing your facility is providing grade level organization to the school. This is going to give your youngest students a better sense of identity and belonging And it will help your teachers feel supported and more of a grade level pod. We'll be using colors to kind of reinforce that grade level organization and also to reinforce where your community unified spaces are, like your cafeteria and your entrance areas. We haven't done too much more into design of the interior of the space, but we were very excited about this opportunity to help reimagine some of this identity within the teachers for this design. And here is what we feel your entrance could look like. So this is your unified entrance for mountain parent traffic. We are looking at a welcoming and identity-building canopy for everybody who's coming and going to very clearly be able to see the entrance and feel celebrated and welcomed. And we are looking at a masonry scheme that ties back to the existing construction with a fair amount of glass here for your entrance lobby to create a bright and welcoming space. We are looking at some security glazing for your entrance vestibule, which would harden that area for deterring intruders. And additionally, the second sequence for the vestibule will provide additional layers of security for people coming and going throughout the day. And just another view of what that transformation might look like here. So you're seeing the same classroom here, and then this portion of the building with the gable roof will be going away. And you can even see your gender in the background a little bit, but really just expanding that arrival plaza so there's a nice space separation between vehicle traffic in your building and providing that safe space for everybody to come and go and be welcome to the campus. At this point, we're going to turn it over to Hagerman to finish this up, to talk about the design process a little bit more and to get more deep into construction logistics, staging, and how the project might look as you also see construction.
Thank you very much, Alan. Great job. So I think it was noted earlier that we submitted our RFQ back on March 19th, just to kind of back up where we were in the process. We attended the TRC committee on 4/15, the RFP 5/1, interviewed 5/6, hired 5/15. That's what started this process. That was mentioned, 9 meetings, 6 school board meetings now. And kind of the next step is the getting our communication back from the owner around 10/3. We'll submit a final by 10/9, and then a final step 1 report, and then school board approval on 10/23 is the plan. So with that, Alan, do you have to have, so as we begin to think, do you have to have those 3 site logistics that I sent?
I do.
Yeah, I thought I might do those first. So as we begin to think about how the traffic will flow during construction, it's one thing to say, well, this is what we have now, and this is what it's going to look like when we're finished. How do you do it in between? So we have kind of an option A, B, and C that we've just been brainstorming with. And this option A, if you can see it on there, is just like everyone mentioned, the drive, people would still come in on that very southeast Highland Avenue, okay? And they would traverse on the car rider staging area, come in, and then we're in the process of purchasing a piece of land adjacent to the school. So we are thinking we'll be able to carve that out because that's where the bus turnaround is going to be, and allow the traffic, the cars to continue up, pull up by the front door. Thank you. and let the students in and out, and then head out to National Highway. And the buses could come in like they do now in this particular option in the yellow line. And then, of course, we'll put a construction fence around. We'll have soil erosion. We'll be digging a detention pond, retention pond for the water runoff, and obviously building a building pad, building a school, and then working through the phased remodel. So what's option B? Another option we came up with is maybe possibly stacking the car across the street on the Mill Street, so they weren't lining up on National Road, and then coming up to the entrance and circling back out. And then the buses would commingle with them. And so that was just something we've been brainstorming with. And there may have to be a day or two when something like that happens, because we might have the back torn up so much. But again, just options, just ideas, nothing in concrete yet. Option C then is another one that we thought about, and that's where you would come up Cosby Street, but that's a very steep grade back by the kitchen. That driveway, it looks nice on paper, but if you go back there, it's a pretty steep incline, and that's probably not comfortable, but that's something we explored. Again, just trying to look at lots of options as we go through this. So then, if it's convenient, Alan, we're back to that phasing plan. So how do you then begin to boil this down? So what we like to do is make a color by different areas of the building and begin to put a start and finish date on those. And so this is an early draft of what that might look like. And we give those phases numbers. And with that, it allows us to begin to think about the new addition obviously has to be built first, because this is a live building. There will be students in it all year long. And there's not a lot of extra room. It's not like you have a whole wing where we could move a bunch of students to. So we have to be very thoughtful and careful with that planning. So most of the idea is we would build a new addition, and then we would move into the new addition, and it would open up some areas where we could do some selective remodeling. And obviously we can take advantage of the summers, but as you guys know, the summers are a lot shorter than they used to be. So one of the things we have on here is the playground. We'll be relocating the playground, and it's to the area of the right. And I don't know what color that is, but it's a pretty color. So that's where the playground will go. So let's see. Then we have, the next thing we have is kind of a detailed, what we call CPM schedule. I'll have the calendar advance. I think she has that in there. Thank you. And we will begin this is basically early start, early finish, late start, late finish, total flow, pre-flow, for those of you with their schedulers in the room. And we will have activities, we'll break it out by areas, we'll have durations of time, and we will plan the work so that when the contractors are on the side, the subcontractors on site, they will know the timeframes we need to work in. They'll know the timeframes to get the material delivered to the site, so we can put this all together and stay on schedule. So that's just a real high level of some of the things that we'll be doing. Does anybody else from our design team have anything that we missed or anything? Okay. With that, Sarah, would you be kind enough to talk about the Little Hard Hat program?
Yes, I was too. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for having me. I had the opportunity a couple of months ago to present our Little Hard Hats program in the initial interview. So this is exciting for me to share what our Little Hard Hats program is all about. And so this program is developed to really turn our building process into a learning opportunity for the students that are on the campus. So it's fun, it's engaging, it's interactive, and it also helps these little ones understand exactly what's going on their campus. Obviously, we're going to be disrupting the flow of their day, and sometimes that can be a little scary for them. So we want to make sure that they understand what we're doing and get them engaged and get them excited about what's to be going into their new campus. So the Hickerman Institute, which is what I'm responsible for, loves to engage students into the learning process. We feel like if we're building up our communities and the future leaders of our communities, that's what this is all about, is doing the right thing for the students. So some of the things that we like to do is invite some of our construction professionals, so the ones that are on site, the ones that are supervising the construction, the project managers, some of our estimators even. We can invite them into the classroom based on what you would like to see us do, and walk through what their careers look like, walk through what they do on a daily basis, what some of their tools are that they use, how they use their tools. We like to bring in all kinds of safety PPE for them to try on. As you can see in these pictures, really paint the picture for you. Kids get the opportunity to try out all the safety gear and understand why it's so important to be safe on a job site. This is really catered to elementary age students, obviously. So we've got some little exercises where they take a mini hammer and they drive a golf tee into a foam block. This is ideal for hand-eye coordination. It's ideal for them to understand how hammers are used. It's good for them to see that this is part of the process in construction. We've also got an exercise where we have foam bricks that they can stack into different patterns to show how we pattern when we're doing masonry on a building, which is very applicable to what your new building is going to look like. We've got, as you can see on the screen, there's some rulers that we're working with the kids on measuring and understanding that there's different measurements throughout their whole school and how important it is to make sure that we know how we're measuring things. And then one of the biggest and most exciting things that we like to do is, if the site allows, and if it is safe to do so, we will take the students out on the job site so they can see exactly what's going on. So they can see real life action happening. They can see all the trades at work. They can get to understand who does what and how they do it. They get the opportunity to ask questions if they have questions about what's going on. So that always is a really neat experience for these students to have. And that's obviously, as I mentioned, that's based on what phases we're working on, how safe the site is, whether we have superintendent approval, and of course, your blessing on this as well. But we just, any way that we can turn this into a learning opportunity for the students, we're happy to do so with your blessing.
Thank you, Sarah. Steve, is there anything you want to add to this evening, sir? Steve Meyer?
I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't catch that. Did you ask me something?
Thanks. Is there anything you want to add to for their presentation this evening? I didn't get a chance to ask you that earlier.
Oh, no, Mike, just a wonderful opportunity for our company. It's been a great experience working with the whole school district and the team as we've been navigating our way through this early scoping period, and looking forward to the opportunity to continue to work with the school. You got a bunch of great people, and it seems like a really nice community, and excited to hopefully continue on that path.
Okay, thank you. With that, that's really it for our presentation. We can open it up to questions and answers, and we'll try to field the right person to help answer whatever question you have. So,
Questions from the board first, right?
oh, thank you. Yeah, that's right.
Can you elaborate? Can you elaborate on the courtyard? What you?
Sure. Alan, do you want to pull up the courtyard drawing?
Yes,
Or
yes.
the drawing that kind of shows the courtyard?
Yes, thanks. Mhm.
So, the current plan then, we use the term sawtooth. The sawtooth wing of, or addition of the building would be torn down. That will allow us access into the courtyard. One of the things we want to do is grub it out. It has a lot of vegetation, it has some river rock, it might have some fabric or something under it. We want to get all that out. We want to connect the roof downspout drains that go in there. Some are on the ground. We call them downspout drain line leaders. So we want to get those piped underground to a storm structure. So we want to add storm structures in that area and pipe that water back out of there and get it down to our detention pond. And then the current plan is to put a nice concrete surface in there so it can be used. And we're still developing all the other things it might have. So you could use it on nice days to go out there and have some kind of a learning experience. Okay.
Mike, could you speak to the retention pond? That was something that just through the process was discovered was a need for the project.
Okay, thanks. So I'll try to say this as simple as I can. So currently, this particular site basically has runoff. So if you have a heavy rain, it just runs off, right? And it runs off to the, as it was noted on one of the earlier drawings, part of the east side of the building runs to the south and goes through the existing playground area. So if you've been here when it rains and you walk in the playground, you might sink to your ankles or so. And I've done that, so I can speak, I can attest to that. There's also the existing courtyard has a drain on the west side of the gym, and it goes down, and I'll use Mr. Davis' property. It drains into his ravine, open drains through manhole. In the front of the building, it sheet drains out to the National Highway, which, as you know, they've just rebuilt. And when they rebuilt that, they added a lot of storm structure according to the city officials I spoke with, so that now no longer floods and can handle big storms. So, and then the very southwest, rather southeast, sheet drains to an area that has a kind of a holding area and goes back under the road. So what we have to do, because your community has now engaged basically a drainage requirement for new projects, okay? They have hired an engineering firm, and the engineering firm has created a whole list of rules. And I know Jonathan could talk a lot more technical, but I'll get him in here if we need him. I'll just try to keep it high level. So what we now are basically strapped with is any area where we disturb on the site, we have to capture that water for a certain amount of time and allow it to be released at a very slow rate so it doesn't create basically a flooding sort of situation. So we didn't know that in the beginning because we didn't see any of those retention or detention ponds around, but as we got into it, we did, and that's added a pretty significant cost to our budget that we have to account for.
Mike, I got another question. On the school bus turnaround, digging into that hillside,
Yeah.
are you doing a retaining wall? Are you cutting back and sloping that? What's your guys' thoughts there?
So I try to stay away from retaining walls whenever I can. They become a long-term maintenance problem. for owners. And we have it designed in such a way that we can cut it to the correct slope so you can mow it. And the new property line, if you will, is back far enough. And I'll make a plea for the Jonathan Lang family or business that owns that land. They were so kind when I made the call to them to ask them. They basically said, well, if it's for the school, you know, help the school, we want to help. And we'll talk to you about basically our back nine of the property. So it was just a really nice conversation, had a few more, met on site. And he even suggested that we move it a few more feet to give the school more room for what we wanted to do.
Who came up with the little hard hats program?
Sarah, I got a call on you. Who created our little hard hat program?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question is, who came up with our little hard hat program? Honestly, I can't remember now.
Well, I don't know exactly who came up with the name of it, but the program has evolved since I have been with Hagerman. I've been with Hagerman for 8.5 years. And at first, it was just giving tours to students, and then we have now evolved it into a program that is a supplement to classroom training. So I can't take full credit for it, but I would say that my team and the support that I have from our company has really helped it grow.
We'll just give you credit. We'll say you started it. So good job. Thank you.
I'm very impressed with that program, and I think it's, makes me
Thank you.
excited. I'm excited about the whole thing, but that is another element to it that I just think brings it to another level. And I think our students will benefit as well as our staff, and I think it's a great addition to this whole project.
Well, thank you. And I can
Great.
tell you, Sarah does a great job. And we have some people in our company that speak other languages that we will bring to, if that helps as well.
Yeah, I do want to mention something, Mike, too, if I can. During the initial interview, one of the project managers that we'll probably have on site is Spanish speaking. So this would be great to have him help supplement some of your dual language programs too with the Little Hard Hats program.
Okay, I'm opening up to the public now. Have them raise their hand, Cody. Who's back there?
Can you elaborate more on the courtyard? You said it was gonna be concrete, so is it gonna be 100% concrete? Is it gonna be grass? Is it gonna be a green space?
Okay, I understand your question. Back to the courtyard, please, Courtney, on the picture. So the question is it going to be concrete or is it going to have grass? Make sure I understand. We're open to that. We currently have the understanding that the desire would be to have it concrete and not to have grass and not to have a maintenance kind of situation where you'd have to go in and mow or trim things on the ground. But there could, what we've seen in other school corporations that we've done is they put planter boxes in, and that can be a kind of a science experience, if you will. We've seen people have different layouts of furniture. People have like a sunshade kind of a net. Is there a preference, I guess, that you're thinking, or something you might recommend based on experience?
I work outside a lot, so I understand the heat that comes off the concrete. So.
I respect that.
In a confined space with that, without airflow,
Yeah,
it can still be muggy and get really hot, so just thinking of kid health.
okay, thanks for that. Those are good points. We'll make sure we look at that. Thank you. We actually did, I'll just mention, talk about like a synthetic turf kind of a thing like you put on a football field. And some of it's just simply budget driven, but things could always be added in the future as well. Okay.
I'll also add to that, we've talked about breaking up, so instead of just a large continuous area of concrete, Mike, you've talked about doing perimeter of some sort of paver so that it's permeable, drainable, and should help break up some of that large continuous expanse at the very least.
Thanks for that. Who else? It's okay. We want to hear your input. It really is. We want to get that. Okay. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Frank.
Okay, so like Mike indicated, the next phase, we'll be meeting with the design committee here in the next week to provide any feedback, final feedback points, and to really formalize what is called the step one report. The school board members will be receiving then that copy shortly thereafter, and then they'll have the opportunity to vote on moving forward with that at our October 23rd board meeting. And we basically move out of the step one phase and into the next step and start planning the construction. And I know Mrs. Murphy and I have talked about that. That's going to be a big phase, and getting teacher input on trying to massage that as much as we can so it doesn't stress us all out, but do the best we can for the teachers and the parents and the kids, and that'll be something that we'll be working on. And you know, I know Mike's pretty eager to get going with that, so I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround from that October board meeting to where we'll see some activity out back here. So pretty exciting times. Again, I think the schedule would allow us to basically have second grade over here in the fall of 27. So that's what we're working towards. There'll be a few components there that will still be going on. The main addition will be done, but Mrs. Murphy and I have talked about that too. There'll be some new spaces we think we can lean on if we need those. Yeah, so I think that's all we have for tonight. So any board members have anything else they want to share before we conclude?
All right, I guess one thing I would add is I hope I see a few familiar faces from our facilities committee, and I hope you all feel like we've taken the fruits of that and applied it the best that we can with the budget we had. As I said, we don't view this project as the end, just the beginning of what we hope to be able to do for Washington Community Schools. With that, since this is actually still a real meeting, I need a motion to adjourn from Mrs. Browning and a second from Mr. Higgins. All in favor? 6-0, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.